Hi everyone, and welcome to this review note. This clip, we're going to look at combining role-based access control and NTFS permissions and apply that to a fairly common use case. In this case, what we're going to be looking at is publications, documents that should be viewable, readable, if you wish, by everybody in the organization. And then we need somebody who's going to have to maintain those. Here's how we're going to set that up. Each department is going to have a user that they're going to assign to maintaining their documents. I've already got some users set up, so we're going to be working with HR and Ops. So we've got a human resources staff group. That's going to be the role of most people who work in the HR department. We've got something called HR Pubs Maintainer. That's going to be a role to somebody assigned within the HR department to maintain their documentation. Same kind of thing for operations. So we've got operations staff, and then we've also got the operation publications maintainer. On top of that, so those are the roles, but on top of that, we've got the access security group. So we've got an access group for HR, which will give them read-write to pubs. And then we've got access to operations pubs, which will give whoever needs to have read-write access to that resource, the read and write ability. Now, let's start by setting up our groups first. I want whoever is the HR Pubs maintainer to be a member of the HR Pubs read-write group. So I'm going to assign the permissions later on to this group, and then whoever that is going to be acquired by the Pubs maintainer role group, and then whoever is assigned into that group is going to acquire those permissions as well. So I'm going to take my HR Pubs maintainer and I'm going to add that to a group, and that is going to be my HR Pubs read-write. And then I would also want to do that for my Pubs maintainer. So I'm going to add them to a group, and this will be Ops Pubs read-write. So just to kind of summarize that, if I take my HR Pubs read-write, I look at the members, that is my HR Pubs maintainer group. And if I look at my HR Pubs maintainer group, the membership there is HR User 2. So HR User 2 is the one who's going to be maintaining those publications. That's their role. So they're in the role group for HR Publications Maintainer. And then that role, from an access perspective, is assigned to the HR Pubs read-write access group. Now, let's look at the NTFS side. Let's switch over onto my member server. I've got a publications directory. This is shared out. Everyone has full access. If I look inside of this, we've got HR and operations folders, and those are not shared. So anybody who wants access to publications would come through the publications share and then see all of these different department folders. If I look right now at permissions, we'll open up the security on publications. We'll see that this is the standard setup, and a couple things in here that might be an issue, or one thing that might be an issue, is that these users have write permission like we've seen before with respect to inheritance from the G drive, so the root of the G drive. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of this. I'm going to disable the inheritance. I'll convert all of these into explicit permissions. I'm going to take this one, get rid of it, and I'm set. So I'm going to say OK to that. And let's see how this is going to work out for us. If I come down here and let's say as argument, we're going to use HR. We can see that this is now being inherited from the publications folder, the parent folder. If I look to see who has what permissions here, I can look at my HR User 1. Effective permissions is going to be read, as we would expect, because of their membership in the users group. If I look at one of the ops users, here's ops user 1. Again, they're going to have read because of their membership in the users group. The only issue is my HR User 2, who I want to be able to maintain this. If I look at them and view the effective access, they also have read, and that's not what I want. So I need to get HR user 2 somehow or another that right permission. Again, going back to using role-based access control, I'm going to, on the HR folder, I'm going to edit, and I'm going to add in one of my access groups. I want HR pubs, read write, and I'm going to give them modify permission. So I'll say OK for that. And I'm going to go down into advanced. Now, why did I go back out to standard? Because it's much easier. It's really quick to do that, right? I'm going to look at this and say, here's my HR pubs. They have modify for this folder and all subfolders. This is explicit on this folder. Therefore, anybody who has some relationship through group membership to this folder should have modify. Let's check it out. Go back into effective access. Let's make sure that HR user 2 is going to have the ability to manage that content. And we can see now they have well beyond what is read permission. All right, so they've got write capability into that folder. What about other HR users who are not the pubs maintainer? Well, if I look at HR user 1 and view their effective access, they also get only read. Why is that? Because their effective access is because they're a member of the users group, which has read and execute. And if I look at members of people who are not part of HR, so for example, if I pick one of my ops users and again look at effective access, they will get read only as well. So they don't get to make any changes there either. And that's all there is to that. So pretty cool, right? Very, very, very simple. We add one access control entry onto each one of those department publications folders, and we're done. And that's it for this video. Hopefully this has been helpful for you, and we'll see you next time.